Hello everyone, Turner Burner here with another video for you guys. I'm going to do a solo explanation video. I haven't done one in quite some time. I think the last one I did was Blademaster on the Surge. But I haven't really been interested in solos in a while, at least performing any. So because there hasn't been a whole lot of ones that are like of my interest, basically, because I've done so many. So I think what I'll be doing here, over the course of I don't know how long, is I'll be doing probably solo tutorials or solo explanation videos for solos I've already done. That way you guys can, as opposed to just watching what I did and learning, you can actually kind of get, know my thoughts of how I address certain situations, what I'm thinking, or why I chose to go this way as opposed to this way, and things of that nature. So, um, let's get right into the video. But first off, I want to say that this is Lahni slash Blademaster on the end, but this is with the sire spawn. So the sire spawn gets Mulchers, right? Mulcher Scions. I already did it with the Pouncer and Salvo Scion spawn. I already did that before this video. And what I found that was interesting is the very first person who did Lonnie on the end, um, the way they did it, I was under the impression that the Salvo Scion spawn is better because of the fact that you get elite grenadiers and you get flashes that you can subsequently flash the scions so they can be disabled and they can't move or whatever. But after doing this, I realized that the Mulcher Scion spawn is way easier because it overall has less enemies, and the fact that the shock grenades work. The shock grenades are in any spawn, but if you rely on the shock grenades, they work much better than the flash grenades anyway. They work longer, and they stun the enemy for longer, and they actually do damage to the enemy. So you'll see that in this video. So let's get right into it. So gotta mute my TV. Okay. So when it comes down to anytime you do a class on the end, let's see, I've done Nomad, Blademaster, um, done Cole. I feel like I'm forgetting some. Infiltrator. I still feel like I'm forgetting some. But regardless, you know, when you're doing a class on the end, you pretty much always want to get these ammo boxes because first of all, when you're doing solos in general, it's good to pick up all the ammo because you're not sharing with anyone anyway. So you're not like taking in, infiltrators ammo for Nasher or anchors ammo for Boltok. It's just you. So all ammo can help you, especially if you in a situation where you need to shoot some things. The exception would probably be Paddock because you want the chainsaw or the lance to be empty, or at least I do. So I go to this spot, and I've kind of gone over this in another solo explanation video, but I go to this spot because I want to trigger the enemies. Going to this spot without the middle Mulcher Scion seeing you allows the Juvies and Grenadiers to be triggered while the Mulcher Scions are not triggered. So once they're triggered, I just run back to this area. And how I kill them is really up to me. I can stay up here to shoot them, or I can go further back towards the back Venom Fan to shoot them. So, one thing I like about this solo specifically is I took so little damage in this whole solo. Typically, with solos, there's a lot of close calls or a lot of lucky moments or a lot of situations that could go like in favor of TC's mechanic failures or glitches, or it can go in your favor. And there's some situations where like if you saw my solo on the line, a long time ago where the Scions just stop at the door, and I was totally shocked by that. So there's a lot of situations where you can be lucky, and sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. That's something that I've always said. So, but in this particular solo, I took so little damage. There's really not much luck about it. The most damage I took, and I'll point it out in the video, was actually from my own shock grenades. So, but anyway, so this first part is literally just killing 5 or so juvies. I think it's 5, and then like grenadiers will come up next. So something I touched on before in my paddock solo explanation video, when you're this far back down the ramp, it triggers the LZ spawn to come to you, which is good because once you go in that middle room, the LZ spawn will already be pulling forward, which allows the overall game to be efficient. The the venom on this map is pretty quick, so you got to be quick with your decisions. You got to be aggressive pretty much the whole time. So because I went back down the ramp, I point and look, and there's a Mulcher Scion. You can pause the video at that point if you want, but there's a Mulcher Scion. Actually, I could do that. That way you don't have to. There's a Mulcher Scion already being pulled forward, and that's right there. There's a Mulcher Scion already being pulled forward from the LZ. So when you go down the ramp near the Venom Fan, there's a two Mulcher Scions, and I want to say 4 Elite Drones. I should know this like specifically, but I know it's at least 4 Elite Drones that spawn the LZ and come forward. So you have to deal with them anyway when you're dealing with a map of this nature. So you might as well, kill them, faster. The Elite Drones and the Mulcher Sounds that are already in the map do not push, unless something changed and I don't know about it. They do not push past this little doorway right here. But the Elite Drones and Mulcher Sounds that spawn on the LZ do push. They're extremely aggressive. So at this point, I don't want to pull the Venom Fan because I want the Venom to fill up the room a little bit more, but not too much to where I die going back into the Venom Fan. So that Elite Drone is from the LZ. He's already here, which is really good. So this means it's going to be an efficient match. It's just one of them. So anytime you see one Elite Drone, you just destroy his dreams, and then take cover because you're getting hit from a distance. Try to stay envenomed for the damage resistance. Triple combo. See, what I'm trying to do with these Elite Drones, I'm trying to get their shock grenades because I'm going to use the shock grenades on the Mulchers. As this match is coming along, a Grenadier may come up, a Sire may come up, a Juvie come up. You just got to handle them, aggressively and quickly. Shock grenades will drop. You pick them up as long as you have the capacity for it. So one thing I like about the end specifically is the fact that because of the fact that they're short ultimate, you get your ultimate more often. It's kind of interesting. If you are a Blademaster user, you already know this, but the shock chain, I should say, has like a residual effect. When your ultimate ends, the enemies that it's hitting, it typically continues hitting them, or at least they continue bleeding, and that helps you get your next ultimate. So there's a lot of times when I'm on the end and I use my ultimate, which is feels like it's like 2 seconds, if that, and it's hitting like maybe 5-6 enemies or whatever, and then like it charges like all the way back up to half when I'm done with it. So that's kind of nice when you're Blademaster on the end. Alright, so I hide behind cover because the Mulcher's a little out of distance, and I know my ultimate's coming up. So I pull the fan because I know the Mulcher's not like running at me, but it is pushing forward, and I know my ultimate's coming up. So I want to use my ultimate on the Mulcher plus Elite Drones. I don't need my ultimate here, but since I have it, why not? So because he's a shielded Scion, they don't get stunned. And as you see that little bit of charge. This is a residual effect, and that's from 1 Elite Drone and a less than half health Scion. So as you can see, I throw a shock grenade, and look, even though it stuns me a little bit, look at his health drop. He can't attack me, and he goes, and he dies. I'm going to run that back, because that's kind of, it happens so fast. The thing about the end, everything happens so fast, and every decision has to be perfect quickly. When you're dealing with, in my opinion, the best class, or one of 2 of the best classes in the game, Blademaster, you have more leeway because you have, higher health and higher damage output, and you have really good healing for the most part. So it's like you get more leeway in that regard. But a class like, for instance, Nomad, when I did that, a while ago, Nomad on the end, I basically had to be perfect with a little bit of luck. But Blade Master, I get a little bit more leeway there. So let me run that back for a second. Okay, so the Scion's coming, saying suppression. I wait till my ultimate. I kill this Scion, and one elite drone dies, gets me a little bit more alt charge. Then I kill this elite drone because I know I gotta be quick with him. And then I immediately throw a shock to slow down. And I can't even, and I'm gonna apologize in advance. I can't even describe exactly um, what you're supposed to do as far as like stunning a Moltres while also not getting stunned yourself too much by the shock grenade. You basically the best way I can describe it is when you throw that shock grenade, the Moltres has to be like at the edge of one of the sides, and that side that he's at the edge of, you're going to try to triple combo him. You'll get stunned a little bit, but the stun animation won't occur until you finish your full triple combo. So you basically have to go to an edge where you're not like going to be in the stun animation and you can't, melee the Moltres Scion. That's the best way I can describe it. Try this on your own because it's really not easy to do. With flashbangs, when they work, you have more leeway for the most part. You can like flash a Scion when it's on the other side of the cover at sometimes. But for shock grenades, he basically has to be in it, and then you have to get close to him. This is another thing. When he's in the shock grenade stun animation, you have to get close to him because if he keeps walking forward towards you because you're too far back, he's going to get out of the shock grenade and he won't have the stun animation. So you have to make sure you're real aggressive and close to him when he's in that shock grenade. This is probably the most important part of the video. So if you have questions about what I just said, pause it, comment below, and I'll try to re-explain it. But that's basically the best I can think of as of right now. Maybe I can ask, one of my buddies if he can explain this better. But ultimately, that's how I was able to handle and make the Moltres Scions a joke in this solo run. So triple combo back up just takes, it's a triple combo is basically, or two of them is basically 6 hits, but it really, I'm pretty sure only takes 5 to bleed out a Scion. But since, might as well be sure and do the full triple combo twice. So as of right now, since I've killed everything that spawns at the LZ, I just have to wait for an assortment of Grenadiers, Juvies, and 3 Sires. What makes this spawn easier than the Salvo spawn for most characters, I would say, is the fact that you get 3 Sires in this spawn, and I want to say the Salvo Scion Elite Grenadier spawn, I'm pretty sure you get like 7 or 8 Pouncers. So the Pouncers, how they jump around is not obvious. So they can jump around a bunch of directions, and it's actually very annoying. So I don't even like that spawn. Unless I'm with teammates or unless I'm a totally different character like Keegan or Demolitions, I really don't like that spawn at all. So, but anyway, moving forward, if you ever want to solo the end, um, I guess the couple of you that would want to do that, that's something you should know. The Sire spawn is better. I know Moltres are probably one of the more scary Scions, but as Lahni specifically, they're really nothing. So one of the Sires coming up. As long as I'm in Venom, it's, as long as I don't choke here, that this is not a problem. So if you watch my what is it? I think about a year ago, I was the first one to do the Hunter solo. If you watch that solo run, as Lahni / Blademaster or whatever, I allow myself to get grabbed by the sires, because the name of the game is if the sires are bleeding. Okay, so if you're meleeing a sire and you jump away, at least how it used to be in older operations. So if you melee sire and jump away, the damage that the sire gave, regardless of what character you were, unless you were melee mortal coal, melee immune coal, you always went down regardless. Even as Lahni, old school Lahni, you always went down if you got melee by sire who was trying to grab you. So now that I've kind of like developed my game over the months or whatever, I kind of decided I don't want to get grabbed by sires anymore, because if you get grabbed by sires, it's not like you can't take damage from like anything else. Maybe not a juvie, because the juvie will try to melee you, but it'll just look at you. But you don't if you can help it, you want to avoid getting meleeed or hit at all. So if you see him about to scream, just turn your whole body around and go the opposite direction, or the same direction as trying to, jump at you. So do that to create some distance, because it'll do the animation where it's like, I don't know, preparing to grab you again. I don't even know what you would call it, because it's going to scream, jump at you, and then it's just going to stand in place. When it's standing in place and you know it's going to stand in place, you do a couple of melee combos, and then you do the same thing if there's multiple sires. So I'll run that back again, just so you can see it in action. So basically, you'll hear a scream, and then you'll go back. You're not going to hear the scream in this video, but if you want to look at it, on your own, it's already uploaded, the original content. So scream, jump back, melee. So as it's just stationary, I tried to get melee combo on him, but Grenadier and another Sour is coming, so I fall back. So same thing here. I ran into a wall, and I thought I was going to get grabbed, and I was going to be really mad. But anyway, so as he's stationary, just 2 melee combos to be sure. I'm pretty sure only one's required, but why not kill him faster if you can? Elite Grenadiers are very easy to deal with while you're in Venom. Last Sire, because it's only 3. Let him scream at you, run away. And there's an auto lock for the Sire, so you want to make sure you're definitely out of range. The only time it doesn't get you is if you're completely out of the range, so keep that in mind as well. So now that we dealt with Grenadiers, Sires, Juvies, what's mainly left is the stuff in the middle. So once I realize the Juvies are done coming, I'm going to get extremely aggressive and try to get everything in the middle as quickly as I can, because the ultimate's short. So everything's bleeding, and then I just get out of there. And look at that ult charge. Look at the kill field, look at the ult charge. So the Mulcher Scion almost dies, but it's only one more Mulcher Scion. So anyway, that was huge there, because remember earlier in the game I didn't trigger the Mulcher Scions? Because I didn't trigger them, they weren't lighting me up when I came down the stair. So that's why it's key to not trigger them. If they were triggered and already saying suppression, then I may not have been able to go down there as quickly. But since I got really aggressive, went right into that Mulcher Scion's chest, did my ultimate, and then I'll realize I only have like a second or two to get out of there, and then I get the residual effect, so I get my ultimate charge. Basically, I think at that point for the LZ. So anyway, that's why everything's kind of connected in these solo runs. Like what you do earlier in the game, as far as your preparation or whatever, can positively or negatively affect you for later in the game. Like if you're playing like a 3-person match, if you are stealing ammo from a teammate that deserves ammo, then that can negatively affect you for later in the match if they need to like headshot something or snipe something. So everything you do is connected. So you don't want to be, if you can help it, you want to be as much of a non-casual when you're playing Escape as possible. You actually want to pay attention and learn the different nuances of different maps. And I'll help out here and there, because I'll be doing probably a lot of these explanation videos. So pay attention to what's going on, how enemies die, with different classes, and then you can figure out what's best for you or what different types of classes best for you, and then you will be able to make a map like the end or the split very, very easy map. So anyway, side ran over. Let's get back into this. So I was able to go down in the middle, destroy the Ultrasound, and then almost get the second Ultrasound, which I probably would have been like the happiest gamer of the day that day. But because his regen, he goes all the way to like 10% health and gets all the way back to 100% pretty quickly. So we know we still got to kill that Moltres a full health Moltres specifically. So Juvies are a joke, so just one melee them once and then wait for them to die. So at this point, I'm waiting for ideally either a Grenadier or an Elite Drone. The two of them were down there, so I don't want to rush them and like mess up my pretty good victory at this point. Right now at this point, and this is something that happens in my solo specifically, whereas like sometimes I have a performance of this nature and like I get kind of like cocky and then something destroys my dreams like a popper or a salvo scion. So after you do, a little over 100 of these, you get used to like different things that cause you to lose, and you try to lose as little as possible because if you don't lose as much, it's less frustration. So at this point, if I lose this match, it is self-inflicted. It's got nothing to do with any glitch or coalition, anything like that. So I got to focus here and take each situation, the smartest way possible. So a Grenadier and an Elite Drone come up together. I isolate the Grenadier by backing up because the Elite Drone's not going to push. Remember I told you the Elite Drones in this map when you're further back don't push. So they only push you in certain segments. So Grenadier triple combo. I jump past him and then I go right behind him for some reason. So one Elite Drone, very easy to deal with. So he dodged the first part of my combo, which was not ideal. So, but anyway, so Mulch coming up. So as you can see here, this is a bad shock, and this is the most damage I take the whole game. Excuse me. It's the most damage I take the whole game. So that shock was horrible. Basically, the Moltres was in the center of the shock grenade, and I couldn't get to him without immediately doing the stun animation. Luckily, I had my ultimate, but I really didn't want to use it here. But ultimately, you want to kind of throw it a little bit past him to where he's at the edge of the shock grenade he's in is the shortest edge near you. It's probably another way I can explain it. That way, when you get to this again, when you get to the shock grenade, you're not going to be in the stun animation until after you've already done your triple combo. So anyway, you just have to practice it on your own. You'll have your own system and hopefully it's better than mine. So that's the most damage. I wasn't full red this whole game. So anyway, I used my ultimate when I really didn't want to. Sometimes you got to use your ultimate to survive the situation, even though I wanted to save it for the LZ, and I basically don't have it for the beginning of the LZ. So there's usually 3 camping Elite Drones there. I realized that, and then I take my time here because the doors close. Another thing I realized because I'm an escape nerd. The doors close on the end basically 540 and a half. If you don't pull any fans, it's 440 and a half ish. But yeah, it's basically 540 and a half. It's right after 540 and a little bit before 541. Knowing when the doors close allows you to know if you're going fast enough in general. So at this segment, there's 3 Elite Drones and possibly 1 Elite Drone on the helipad. It just depends on if you get screwed over that day. This game, thankfully not, because I was not in the mood. So it was just these 3 Elite Drones right here. So just taking my time, learning how to navigate. Whenever they stop shooting, I do a triple combo and take out one of their friends. And I try to get 2 shocks here. That's the most important thing here, where it's just like, as Lahni, this amount of Elite Drones shouldn't kill you unless you have the wrong skill cards on. So, just making sure I get that shock grenade is what's important. That way I can stun the Elite Grenadier, stun the regular Grenadiers and also damage some of the Juvies and also stun the Moltres. No Elite Drone here, and I literally have a couple seconds A little bit of baby Kobe action, toss, toss, and I'm just praying I get my ultimate. So I'm not entirely sure there, but I think my melee hit the Moltres Scion and the Grenadiers at the same time. Again, perfectly timed ultimate that I'm barely hitting anything because of the shock grenade, and then I just kill the remaining juvies. It's really not much to it, and this is why you keep your Nasher. You know, so remember I said that what you do early in the game affects what you do later. That's why you keep your Nasher. If I didn't get the Nasher earlier in the game, if I didn't have, ammo in general, I would have to melee those juvies outside of Venom, or I would have to go back in the Venom to kill them. Those, I guess that's an option too. But the safer option is to be because they can hit you twice in under a second. So when the doors are closing, make sure you get out. The safer option is to have some distance and either chainsaw or shoot them with an asher. So that's pretty much it. Like I said, outside of that last shock grenade, I basically took little to no damage. Or how should I phrase this? I wasn't really full red by any enemy that whole match. So one of my favorite solo runs. I probably put it in my top 10. And stay tuned for the next explanation video. There's probably going to be more of these. So you guys have a good one. Peace.